Hello my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Well guys, it's been a long time since we've been live, and honestly a lot of it was just basically because it just seemed like I was getting sabotaged every time I try to go live with microphone problems, things like that, and just took a little time to regroup and focus on the videos a little bit more. And I hope everybody is doing well tonight. There's a lot going on, guys, but really I think that the biggest thing is really something that I haven't been talking about quite as much in the videos, and it's really more of what's happening with ourselves spiritually, energetically, vibrationally. People are waking up in droves. We're not only waking up to everything that's going on, from the geoengineering over our heads to realizing that just about everything that is going on, it could be man-made to a degree at least. And so, you know, we're waking up to all that, but we're also kind of waking up to our own consciousness in so many ways. People are discovering that they are feeling differently, sensing things more. Everybody I talk to seems to be growing exponentially. And these times are challenging in so many ways. You know, they're obviously challenging for what we see every day with the earth changes and all the political things going on, all the tension in the world, you know, the specter of all these different possible flashpoints for wars. And yet, you know, the biggest thing, I do think it is the biggest thing by a mile, is really the spiritual awakening. Exactly. You know, that is what is going on. People's psychic abilities are seriously ramping up. And it is incredible. It's truly incredible what we are able to do now. And so I was hit by a video today that I watched. And so you guys know Naughty Beaver took some time off, those of you that follow Naughty Beaver. And he took like a month or so away. And he's back now, and he's back, and he's just blasting them out, and he's not holding back. You know, he's just saying what he has to say. You know, and he's not holding back anymore. Not that he really held back before, but it's time to just simply, you know, put it out there. And we know, you know, so much of this family is completely awake, completely awake. And people, I've seen people wake up on this channel. People that maybe started out kind of stuck in their old mindset that they've had for decades perhaps, and now, you know, have opened up their eyes to like a whole new way of seeing the world and realizing exactly, you know, who and what we are. Because ultimately we have a lot of power to manifest in this world. We have tremendous power to manifest. And I do believe that part of the reason for everything we see in the skies and all around us, you know, the chemtrails, geoengineering, the GMO foods, the 5G going on, all the distractions with all the political BS and all the threats of war and everything that's going to keep us into lower vibrations is just about that. It's keeping us in lower vibrations. That's the biggest plan here. The biggest plan here is they don't want us waking up fully. They don't want us knowing how powerful we are and exactly how much we can actually change and meld the world into the world that we want, which is one of peace, unity, brotherhood, and, you know, throwing off those shackles of dissension and division that has been keeping us separate for thousands of years, totally on purpose. And I do think it is on purpose. And this is the thing. They know that their time is short because of the changes that we're going through. And so even though we're going through a real roller coaster ride and a whirlwind, it still is a blessing in a big way, because this is a chance for us to redo things and to get rid of the system that's kept us basically down and in a lower vibrational rate, and always afraid of each other and at each other in a competitive way. And it's time for us to shed all that, and we're waking up to it. We are totally waking up to it. And many of you are talking about the yellow vests. And, that is part of it too. And, they're always playing every side. And that's one of the things we have to realize. And this is definitely a spiritual war in many ways. But perhaps we should look at it as an interdimensional war as well. And the key is to stay heart-centered and stay compassionate. And, yes, we definitely can say that in some ways, Earth is a slave planet, as Susan was saying. And when we look at it, it's all there for us to put together. We could see it. There is a control grid that's been put down on the planet. And it's in all our traditions. It's hidden there, and it's easy to see once you open up your eyes and look into it. And so since we are going through all these changes, which includes a pole shift or a pole reversal or pole excursion, depending on what the final outcome is, what is happening is that the magnetosphere is in decline, so more cosmic rays are coming in. And these cosmic rays, many believe, are being sent from what is our galactic core, or a central sun of our galaxy. And as we've looked deeper into things, we've started to see some fascinating patterns. For one, now instead of having just the thought that we live in a universe, there's the thought that we're actually in a multiverse. And this multiverse, you could look at it as if basically each universe is just a single cell in something bigger. And so, the whole idea of timeline shifting, timeline jumping, changing our reality, takes on a whole new light with what we're learning. It's so good to see so many familiar names there in the chat room. And so as we're learning all these things and discovering these things about our universe or multiverse, our reality, our existence, it's obviously lending to us discovering more about ourselves. And there's two ways to discover things. And one of them is the left brain analytical, and the other is by going within. And so many traditions, especially in the East, have stressed the need to go within to find your answers. And so in the culture that we've grown up in this Western culture, it's been all about going without and learning all about how things work. And so we've seen, and that we've talked about this before, this is that old statement that scares so many people if you allow your conditioning to scare you, that quote, as above, so below, as within, so without. But what we mean is that reality is very much reflective, and it is all basically, you could see, to put it in simple terms, you can see the whole in the part. As we look at this, when we look at a brain cell, we see and we look at the universe, or how the neural network of stars relates to the brain, and you see that they look almost identical. And they're based on each other. And as has been brought up, are we living in the mind of God, in effect, in the mind of our source? And it's just fascinating to see as we discovered these things, how the universe truly works, and then what our part in the universe is as well. And so the human energy field is a torus. That is the shape of it. And right now, we are getting so many energies coming in, and we need to basically be grounding ourselves energetically all the time. And we need to be bringing up our own personal vibration. This is so key. And so how do we do that? How do we ground? How do we raise ourselves up in vibration? Well, really what it's all about right now is shedding. And it's shedding in so many different ways. We need to let go of any sort of judgment. Every time we start judging anything, we're in effect causing ourselves to be judged. And it's a negative thing. So we have to let go of judgment. We have to not respond to something negative with something negative. We have to let it go. Just simply let it go. And you must emanate a pure, loving vibration from the heart center, a compassionate one. And understand that, you know, everybody is going through a lot of energetic changes right now. And these energies are manifesting in many ways. And if we're not able to handle these energies, they can manifest as disease, which is dis-ease. And so the physical follows the energetic. The energetic comes first. As we've talked about before, we've talked about Max Planck, you know, one of the fathers of quantum physics, and he said you cannot get behind consciousness. Consciousness is fundamental. Consciousness is what comes first, and the physical universe is a result of consciousness. And, you know, so we've been kind of brought up with the whole thinking of everything being backwards from what it truly is. And when you think about it, if you are, quote unquote, in a prison planet or a prison dimension of sorts, it would make sense. And perhaps the jailers, you know, want to keep you in their prison because perhaps, you know, negative energy is their food source. And when we, again, go back and think about this as above, so below, so you see how the human energy field is and how it circulates. And so in QiGong, we call this the Taiji pole, which goes basically through the crown chakra, down through the root, down out of the two bubbling well chakras in the feet, into the ground below us. And there are chakras that are not even in the body. There are chakras that extend way up outside of the physical body. The physical body is only one body. We have more than just the physical body. The earth itself is basically the same thing. And so the Earth is also energetically, it's shaped as a torus. And the entire galaxy is the same thing. This is as above, so below. This is how it works in a fractal universe, because that is what we are in, is a fractal universe, where the whole is contained in the part. And so that is part of our true reality. And so when you see the Star of David, what you're really looking at is a dodecahedron, and it symbolizes the Merkaba, which is the energy field around the body that enables us to travel interdimensionally. And, you know, that would have sounded so crazy and so woo-woo, you know, 20, 30 years ago to most people. But people can recognize that. And the yogis, the Buddhists, Tibetan monks as well, I mean, with going within like you do in meditation, when you've devoted so much of your life to meditation, you start to realize these things. And now all it takes is just a little bit of time to meditate and draw energy in, and you could sense various layers to your energy body because of the increased energy that's coming in. So the powers that be know that the cosmic rays are going to be bombarding you, and they are bombarding you. They're going through your body right now. They're going to have an effect on your DNA, and they're going to change your DNA. And so our DNA, we are told, is mostly, quote-unquote, junk DNA. You know, not really doing anything. Well, it's not doing anything because it's been deactivated. And that's what we get from many sources when we start to look deeper into the scenario and the situation. We see it when we start looking at the Sumerian legends, and there's hints in the Bible, there's hints in other cultures as well. And this has all been done purposely. This has been done to keep us in a very limited reality. Because if we were operating at 100%, they couldn't hold on to us. And the changes that are coming, the energy that is bombarding you right now is turning that DNA on. And that's why you can feel things that you didn't feel before. Have you noticed that your palms are tingling more, your feet are tingling more? Perhaps, you know, your crown chakra is tingling more. That now all of a sudden, I've had at least a half a dozen of you in the last 2 days say to me that, you know what? I think I'm seeing energy. It looks like, you know, rivers of energy, or it looks like, you know, when you look underneath a microscope and you see things swimming everywhere, well, that's what it looks like, but I'm seeing that in the air. And that's exactly what's happening, is your perceptive abilities are expanding. So you're actually seeing the life force, the chi. You're seeing it all around you. And that's part of our new reality. And we're going to be able to see more and more. We're going to be able to see the energies and the colors around people. And it's getting pretty easy to detect when politicians are lying just by looking at them. It doesn't even look even remotely convincing anymore. And, you know, to be honest with you, you know, I was, you know, suckered into believing them too, you know, decades ago, thinking maybe this one's different, maybe that one's different. But now, when you look at their energies, you could see the energy around them, and you just know they're lying, and they know that. And so they're not going to be able to hide that from us anymore. They're not going to be able to hide anything from us anymore as we awaken. And I've told you about people being discovered, children, with 3-strand DNA and even more. And that's because ultimately, from the traditions that we're talking about, we're going to go to 12-strand DNA. And then, you know, that changes everything. And these mutations are happening. And the CIA has done studies on this. And they know that our intuitive abilities are going to increase. They know they're not going to be able to lie to us forever, because we'll see right through it. Yes, sparkle bots. Exactly, crispy. Because that's what they look like. They're sparkling. They're all over, and they're the life force, and they're all around us. And yes, we are being sorted in a way, the wheat from the chaff. But it's us sorting ourselves, because we have the choice. We could decide to go upwards and to rise up in vibrations, and really all we have to do is work on ourselves. Or we could be drawn in and pulled down. Look at our society. Look at what they sell. What do they sell? They sell violence, they sell war, they sell greed, they sell ego, they sell jealousy. They get to us through all these things to lower our vibrations and lower our energies so we stay in this reality. And so, you know, many believe that here we are on this 3D reality, and when we sleep, we're actually jumping up into the 4th dimension, or the astral realm, which is very, very large. And it's fascinating to actually read some of the descriptions of the full astral realm from some of the Buddhist writings. There are heavens on top of heavens, but below that there are basically places that we equate with like a hell type of experience, and nasty creatures which are living in this lower astral realm. And so when we look at, say, the Egyptian Book of the Dead and some of the other writings as well, and we have to transverse this chasm in order to get to the good lands, to the good side. We have to transverse this, you know, negative zone with kind of these dark, nasty beings. Well, as we're rising up in vibration, we're heading into the area where some of these beings will be able to become more visible to us, and more people will be able to see them. And you know, it doesn't matter what we label these beings. We could call them interdimensionals, extra-dimensionals. Some of the, there are some people out there that will call everything a demon, and you know, some truly are what we would call demonic energies. But that's only basically a part of the journey, and what lies beyond that is a much higher realm, which, you know, we would view as like the heavenly realms in the astral world. And then there's going past that into the uncharted territory, at least for the bulk of humanity, of what we might call the 5th dimension, where we're starting to get into a unity consciousness, and we're past all the division. And in a 5D universe, it might not operate like our 3D universe operates. The 3D universe is one of duality. And so you guys might recognize like the sign of the Tao. The yin and the yang symbol. And so this is, you know, the symbol that shows, it symbolizes this universe, light and dark, dark and light, the dynamics between the positive and the negative, the masculine and the feminine, you know, that keep everything going in this dimension. Not necessarily the case in the higher dimensions, where there's more of a unity consciousness. And so, you know, one of the keys is basically making sure that our energy body is functioning as well as possible. And this is through, well, first working on freeing up stagnant energy, because I've had quite a few of you the last few days like asking for instructions and saying, I'm sensing this. I was never sensing this before. I'm getting tingling here. I don't know why this hurts, that hurts. Can you help me? And really what we need to do is first get rid of any dark, stagnant energy and free that up. And emotions are energy, and emotions are powerful energy. So we must basically cleanse ourselves of all lower emotions. You have to let them go. So we have to forgive others, and we need to forgive ourselves. We are all human right here, right now. We are all in these physical bodies. We are all subject to all sorts of different emotions, and it's fine. Don't judge yourself. Obviously don't judge others either. We must let go of judgment in its entirety. And then we must cultivate compassion. That is so key. And have compassion for yourself too. That is also extremely key. Letting go of anything that no longer serves us. There are many meditative techniques on this. And I would definitely encourage you guys to do some daily QiGong. QiGong is amazing, as is yoga. And I have been doing QiGong to open up my sessions, usually anywhere from about 20 to 40 minutes of QiGong, and then I'll go into my meditations and my mantras. And it's amazing now what can happen. I woke up a couple days back with a horrible headache and just felt lousy. And I went through and did my QiGong and did about an hour of meditation, and then I was feeling better than I felt in probably months. And today, I had a 2-hour plus practice, which was wonderful because it just took me to zones where I haven't been in forever. And so I would heartily encourage you guys to take up QiGong. And thank you so much for the super chat. Take up QiGong, take up yoga, and definitely practice meditation on a daily basis, because it's going to be way easier than it was even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You're going to be able to sense things that it would have took you decades to sense, probably in just a few weeks, maybe even just a day or two, because of everything that is changing energetically. We are becoming more energetic. We are becoming more energetic beings. And so that is what we have to realize, that our power to manifest is growing exponentially. And so what would have took years and decades of work to achieve, now you're going to be able to achieve that in maybe days, if not weeks at the most. It's incredible what we can do. Incredible. And so together, and this is something that I have been remiss in, is that we're going to do more lives. We're going to get back to doing the lives, and if they start to block us again, we'll figure out ways around it. But we need to use our powers, to manifest what we want, which is, I know everybody in this family wants a loving, peaceful planet. And so as they're cultivating dissension and war, we must cultivate peace, and we must cultivate unity and prosperity, because it's all going to go hand in hand, and we could lift up those in the world that have been wallowing and been suffering, and there are so many, as we have seen. We could also, I truly believe, we could mitigate a lot of these earth changes just by our consciousness. One of the things that I noticed was, in studying in the past, there were so many horrific accidents and earth changes that happened at times of war and conflict. And that is partially because of the energies that are being cultivated in that time period. And suffering begets suffering. So we must let go. And, we need to first stop judging each other and stop trying to convert each other into our particular dogma. Because dogma has nothing really to do with vibration and with where your heart is. It doesn't matter, you know, the semantics of things, the language that we use, doesn't really matter as much as where our heart is and the energy that we're putting out. That's key. So we need to look at ourselves first. And, you know, Christ said that exactly. You know, he said, you know, judge not lest ye be judged. And also, why are you looking to take the mote, you know, the tiny little speck out of your brother's eye when you have a plank in your own eye? But that is human nature, but we have to rise above it. We must rise above it. And we will if we just focus on it. And we can affect tremendous change. So we need to clear away negative energies. And if you guys see my QiGong videos, I have a short QiGong video, which is about 20 minutes long, and you spell it QiGong. That basically is just going to get rid of the negative energy, and it's going to open up the 12 primary meridians, which are the 12 primary rivers of energy that are going to all the organs. So if you do that on a daily basis, it will really help you energetically. And then when you have the time, go and do the full hour version, because that will gather and build energy and also circulate energy in much more powerful ways. And if you did that on a regular basis, with what's happening with the energetic changes, you would be amazed at the changes in your body and just how good you would feel on a daily basis. And if you're feeling pretty good right now, you're going to feel even better. And it's amazing what can be done. So I would definitely encourage you guys to do that as well. And then we work on all the chakras, opening up all the chakras, getting them strongly flowing with energy, because the chakras, as you see, each chakra right there, as far as the 7 main chakras, and if we include the navel chakra, then we're talking about 8. They relate to organ systems. They relate to nerve plexuses and organ systems, and also to the endocrine system as well, and to the glands. You know, so it's all interconnected. And again, we are multidimensional beings by nature. That's just what we are. So this symbolizes the Ida and the Pingala. And the Ida and the Pingala, and then in the middle is the Sushumna. And each one of these symbols is a chakra. And so when the chakras are open and strong, and we stir the energy that's lying dormant in the base of the spine, the Kundalini energy will flow. And it will rise on upward, and it will speed this evolutionary process and speed the energetic changes as well. So that is one of the keys. And you could do that through various forms of energy work and meditation, and also mantras. So the Sanskrit mantras have been designed to open up each one of the chakras. And there's various Sanskrit mantras. And I believe they're passed on from previous civilizations. I think that they are ancient knowledge that maybe goes back to Atlantis or even beyond. And it's amazing the changes that they can do when basically spoken. But if you have any aversion to speaking in Sanskrit, you don't have to. Basically, the sounds of the vowels will resonate with each one of the chakras, and they will open them up as well, just by simply vibrating at a deep level the sounds of the vowels. And I have meditations on that as well. So that is key to what we're going through right now, my friends. You know, this is what we need to address. We need to address the energy body. We need to address the energy systems. And then, even though we're going through all this death and destruction on a daily basis, every tradition you look at, whether we're talking in the Bible, where the ultimate thing is that there's a new heaven and a new earth, or if we look at, you know, the Hopi, there's those that are called the warriors of the rainbow that are going to come together. And that's you guys. You know, you guys are the warriors of the rainbow, because we're warriors in the sense that we're busting this old system, because it's time for this old system to go bye-bye. And so you know it. You know you guys are rebels. You could sense it. You came here with a purpose. And, you know, your purpose is to change the system. And the purpose is thus we change the world. We change our perception, and we develop that heaven on earth, which is lying dormant. And it's within each of us. Christ again, he said, don't look here or there for the kingdom of heaven, for it lies within. It's always been there. It's just, basically the forces that are dominant on this planet. And of course, in the Bible, it's referred to as the enemy, the adversary, Satan, however, the devil, any way you want to put it, which also, again, there's so many layers of meaning, because we each have a devil within us, just as, the Indian legend of the two wolves. There's a good wolf and a bad wolf. Which one are you going to feed? It's the same thing. Yes, there is a negative group on the planet, whether we call them the Cabal, the Illuminati, the Deep State, whether you view them as Draco reptilians or demons, the minions of Satan. It doesn't really, does it make a difference? We know that there's that dark forces that are here, and now they're full frontal attack because their time is running out. And that is why we're seeing all this. That's why we're seeing the chemtrails. That's why we're seeing the 5G. That's why we're seeing the GMO foods. That's why we're seeing our fertility rates, plummeting. We're actually seeing life expectancy plummet. But yet, where we're going with the energy, if we realize our own inherent power, we could really make it through all these things, and we could rise above. Exactly. We shall overcome. Much that is so true. So, as this says, do not let your hearts be troubled. In my Father's house there are many rooms. I go to prepare a place for you, that where I am, there you may also be. And so, many rooms, many people have even interpreted it to be many mansions. Well, there is a reference to many mansions. Maybe it's even meaning many dimensions as well. And so, I've talked about this before too, the Tibetan rainbow body. And many people might not be aware of this, but there are many Tibetan monks that have gone so deeply into meditation that they've actually kind of shed their body. In many cases, there's nothing left. Some cases, there's nails and hair left, and they're absolutely gone. They're just gone. They've ascended. They've basically changed their vibratory rate to a higher degree, and there's actually been tens of thousands of cases of this. And it's really pretty fascinating to look at. And so it's not just one culture. It's not just one tradition. There's many yogis in the East as well. Paramahamsa Yogananda spoke about this at length, and his guru basically materialized in front of him, even though his physical body was many, many miles away, hundreds of miles away. It actually physically manifested in front of him. How many of you caught the last Star Wars, The Last Jedi? And here's a spoiler alert, and I'll be telling you towards the ending what happens. So in it, it appears that Luke is fighting Kylo Ren and all the bad guys. In reality, he sent basically his essence and rematerialized over in a different location while he was still actually in a totally different world. And so if you start looking into some of the abilities of the yogis as well, it gets pretty fascinating. It really, really does. And it's amazing. And Paramahamsa Yogananda wrote several fascinating, great books all about Christ and acknowledging Christ, and really good stuff as well. And so there have been many ascended type of beings through legends and mythology of many different types as well that we have seen. And so it all gets into, well, what really is the destiny of humanity? Well, it's, as we were saying, we're multi-dimensional beings. We have been kept in a limited vibration and frequency. And we've been basically told that we can't do this and we can't do that. And when you think about our whole medical system, you could see that the medical system is not set up, allopathic medicine is not set up to empower. It's just the opposite. So in traditional Chinese medicine, we view it that there's imbalances in the body. Imbalances. And the body is made up of different essences. And so we have like the 5-element theory. And it's really just a case of being out of balance and then having to find that equilibrium again, that balance again. What happens in the West? In the West, you are told a prognosis. You are given basically, when you get down to this, and we've had some really good discussions on it, it's almost as if it's a curse. You know, you basically are waiting for the doctor to tell you, Doc, what is it? Well, Dr. Jones, or, well, Mr. Jones, you have X, or Y, or Z. Oh my. So I have, well, in my case, Lyme disease. And, okay, so what's the prognosis? Well, with the symptoms that you have now, you know, you're probably never going to do this again, and it's probably just going to deteriorate, and you know, you're going to have to take these antibiotics, then those antibiotics intravenously, probably for the rest of your life, you know, and whatever it is. Or even worse, you know, you're told you have cancer and you are in stage 4 and you have 3 months left to live. Well, what that does is that puts a seed in your mind, and that seed will grow. And if you truly, truly believe in that person, you're going to accept that, and your body's going to accept that, and then you're going to manifest it. So many people I know have done the opposite. And the ones that survived have said, no, I'm not going to die in 3 months or 6 months. No. And, you know, they've even gone so far as to just refuse to say they have this diagnosis. I'm not accepting your diagnosis, and I'm going to get better. And I know a lot of people that have gotten better. Complete remissions when they haven't gone down the path that the medical system wants to. And everybody has to make their own decision, of course. But when you label something, when you name it, you're giving it power. And if you are told something from an authority figure that you have respect for and you believe, then you could end up manifesting that outcome. So we must realize that. And the system is set up that way. And it's exactly as many people are saying here. I mean, it's all about treating the side effects with more meds, which gets you, locked up into one medicine after another, which, the pharmaceutical industry is one of the richest industries in the world. It's one of the most profitable ones. What other industries can you take something that costs pennies and charge thousands of dollars for a serving? I mean, the percentage of profit is absurd in so much of the pharmaceutical industry. And also it creates more problems. And it's set up on purpose to do that. That's just part of the plan. So that, in effect, we're slaves to the system and we're working to just basically, take care of our medicine that we need to get. And we really, really, in my opinion, we don't have to do it that way. I've seen, people recover from things that they weren't supposed to recover from. Half a 1% chance of survival with cancer and make it and still be going strong. As well as many other tumors that have been shrunk, spines realigned, discs that were supposed to be debilitating to the point where you really couldn't do anything anymore and totally overcome. The body is extremely powerful with its recuperative abilities if we treat it right. So that's the other part of the issue, because we'll look at the food supply. I mean, GMOs and pesticides everywhere, Roundup and everything, plastic in everybody's poop. Let's face it, there's plastic in all of our poop. And that means it's gone all through the whole system. And it's all done, again, it's done on purpose. It is done on purpose to keep us down. And so we're waking up. And even with, and I've shared with you guys that I've gone to eating basically once a day, and you know what? I mean, I'm feeling better and better and better, and it feels good. It feels really good. So, and I still enjoy good food, good healthy food, and I feel like I'm appreciating it more. But the hunger doesn't really set in, and also it's given my body time to basically purge, because with all the toxins we're taking in all the time, we need to purge more than ever. It's just part of the system. We need to be detoxing all the time. And thank you so much for that super chat, Sassy Susie. Very appreciated. And I appreciate everybody that's a Patreon supporter and also supporting through Ko-Fi. Thank you guys so much. You know, basically, you can't really talk about a lot of things now. It's just they're being taken off the table. And so, you know, this right now is an opportunity to talk more about them. And, you know, it's sad but true. You know, it's a slide towards that 1984 Orwellian world, and we're sliding fast. It's sliding really fast that way, and we're seeing it. And it's not just this country; it's China, especially, and India as well, and you know, Russia and all of them. You know, we're definitely heading towards that complete lockdown. It's going to be a complete lockdown very, very soon. And you know, we're not going to be able to even have these discussions anymore if they're allowed to get their way. And I do think that we could put our intentions out there as well to block that, and we have to speak up. And so when we're talking about the Yellow Vest protests, you know, they're speaking up, and they got Macron to change his mind. They got him to ditch the whole idea. And now he's just holding on for dear life. And, you know, that's definitely something that you could say has been a positive effect, is that it's gotten the government to change their mind. They've had to address. Yes, yes, yes. A lot of channels are disappearing. They're disappearing in droves, and we recognize that. And that's part of it. Everything is completely regulated in this world. And part of what I'd love to do is I want to focus more on the light and the love and the happiness and the health and all the good stuff. And so I've been bringing in more videos from the road and travels, and want to give you guys much love to all you guys out there. And thank you everybody out there that is stepping up, like we're talking about our friends out there in France, and just saying no to the system. And we have to say no to the system. That is what we got to do, and we have to say it more and more unified all the time, but also in peaceful ways, because we don't want there to, well, for one, we don't want to create any negative vibrations, negative energies. We got to do it out of unity, and it's been done. You know, you look at what Gandhi achieved. He achieved a lot, and we could do it. You know, we definitely can do it. And we need to, because, you know, things are definitely ramping up and ramping up fast, and we're feeling that. Vive la France. Yes, vive la France. And so we need to focus on working on ourselves as much as possible. And so one of the things that comes up, and I'm surprised, and I shouldn't be, but more and more people are starting to open up their minds and their eyes and starting to see that, you know, a lot of traditions are talking about the same things. Like when we're talking about Ascension, and we're talking about the Rapture, and we're talking about everything here from a quantum perspective, timeline jumping. I've shared you guys in the past how I felt like I did jump timelines in the past. And I think we have the ability to. I think we are a lot more in control of our reality than we recognize. But that's because we've been conditioned to be that way, to not believe in ourselves. We've been conditioned from birth, you know, in Western society, to think that we're sinners and we're worthless, you know, and that we have no say in it. And you know, there's so many people that believe in determinism, that you have no say in anything that you do, and I think that's very sad. I think it's very sad. We need to recognize our inherent power and our inherent creative ability. And everything is changing so dramatically right now, that we need to recognize that. And so, you know, we focus on ourselves. We need to clear our energies. We need to let go, forgive whatever needs to be forgiven in both yourself and others. And then work on ourselves. Get time out in nature and connect to the earth. Ground yourself. Earth, do some earthing. Put your feet, your bare feet on the ground and sense downwards into the earth. And right now, every time I do that, for one thing, I feel a lot of movement. I feel a lot of movement and shaking and rumblings because the earth is changing. And it's changing big time, and we could see that all around us. We're going to be seeing more and more sinkholes. There's a lot of big earth changes coming. We're going to, we saw the cruise ship today, and that's just the start of what's happening. Everything is going to keep ramping up, so it's so important that we keep ourselves spiritually grounded, energetically grounded. And, stay focused always on the higher energies and the higher possibilities. And, keep focusing on where we're going. And so we need to let go of things. We need to let go of anything that holds you back right now. So there are those that believe this is not just perhaps the end of a way of life in a single lifetime. There are many that view this as a chance in maybe many thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, lifetimes upon lifetimes, to move into a whole new reality. And perhaps this reality is actually a timeless reality. When we look at what is said in so many of the different spiritual traditions, we're told all about the signs of what's coming. And, many people are familiar with like Matthew 24 and, not knowing the day or the hour, but you can tell the season and, know what are the signs of the end of the age. And, it's fascinating too. I just shared this with you guys. There's so many word plays everywhere. There's all these different layers that are fascinating to look into. I mean, it's mind-blowing to look into some of these layers upon layers upon layers. And so many different ways to get the truth. And there are different levels of truth. And so, as we were talking about, we've said this on almost a daily basis. Somebody says, hey, that's the time of Noah. That's what's going on right now, right? Many different reasons as well, because many people are just eating and drinking, marrying, whatever. They're going about their lives. They're totally oblivious. And yet the flood comes. And then again, the rains, the floods, we're seeing that. And, on a different metaphorical level, water is all about emotions. And emotions are what we're dealing with here, ultimately, because this is all about emotions. Because emotions control our energetic frequency. Do not underestimate emotions, and do not underestimate the importance of controlling the negative emotions that we feel and letting them go, because they can wallow, fester, and cause disease. Again, dis-ease. And so, there's some of these quotes which are just so interesting and fascinating, and they've haunted me, and I've, always been coming back to them time and time again. And then as I go into other systems and other philosophies and realize they're talking about the same stuff. And perhaps a lot of what we're going through in this age, others have gone through in previous ages as well. And so right up until the day that Noah entered the ark, quote unquote, boom, it was going on as usual, even though, things are going crazy all around him. And that's how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a hand mill, one will be taken, and the other left. So there's a lot of interesting quotes. And this is Revelation 3:10. Since you have kept my command to endure patiently, I will also keep you from the hour of trial that is going to come on the whole world to test the inhabitants of the earth. So there again, people would take that as a pre-trib rapture. Luke 17:34-37. I tell you, on that night 2 people will be in one bed, one will be taken, the other left. 2 will be grinding grain, one will be taken, the other left. And we have more. And 1 Corinthians, listen, I will tell you a mystery. We will not all sleep, but we will all be changed. And, other ways of translating that is we will not all die, but we will all be changed. In a flash, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the trumpet will sound, and Many people feel that we're hearing the trumpets in the sky right now. The dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. For the perishable must clothe itself with the imperishable, and the mortal with the immortality. So that's saying that immortality lies within us. And again, we could see it depends on how you look at it with what verbiage, but what we're talking about is a change. But our citizenship is in heaven. And again, when Christ was asked, "Where's heaven, Lord?" he said it lies within. It's already within you. And we eagerly await a Savior from there, the Lord Jesus Christ, who by the power that enables him to bring everything under his control will transform our lowly bodies so they will be like his glorious bodies. And again, where is the seat of heaven? It's inside us right now. So again, if we follow the example of Christ, and what was his example? Well, he didn't judge. He didn't judge. And he was out there with the sinners and the whores. And, he was drinking wine with them. He didn't judge anybody. And he held in his heart love and compassion for all. And so, that's the example. Even unto death, he held that love and compassion and forgiveness, because that's the only way. You must forgive and recognize, the greater whole of everything. And that includes forgiving yourselves as well. Ultimately, yes, as Johnny says here, we are all immortal energy. We are. And if we go and we look at the Bhagavad Gita, which I've talked about before, and it talks about worn out bodies. Let's see if we got an image here for everybody. So as a man discards worn out clothes to put on new and different clothes, so the embodied self discards its worn out bodies to take on other new ones. If you think of its birth and death as ever recurring, then too, great warrior, you have no cause to grieve. And so this is Krishna talking to Arjuna. And that is just saying that we, the soul, the energy, the Atman, which is basically eternal, it doesn't really die. We just go through changes. And again, it's all dimensions. It's all dimensions. And it's all vibration. So we need to recognize that. And again, it's all around us that we could see these things. We can see and recognize these things. And so what it is that the dark forces, every time we get these wonderful avatars, and if you guys, I'm sure most of you guys have seen Avatar. And what's an avatar? It's really, when you get down to it, it's a bodily incarnation. And the whole movie Avatar was really actually pretty damn cool. And it's almost like they're forced to tell us a lot of truth. There's like, you have to let us know the truth and enable us to make up our own mind. But then you could sway us as best as you possibly can, as long as you put the truth out there. And so in Avatar, and spoiler alert again, the hero who's in a human body ends up having his consciousness transferred into this non-human body, the body of the indigenous people of this planet that is getting raped by the machine. That horrible machine we all know very well. And it's just, it's just horrible what happens. But yet, at the same time, in the end, he jumps bodies, and he's in the avatar body, and he's with those people who he really fell in love with. And not just the female, but just the people, because they were in touch with something. They were still in touch with the bigger picture, and they had reverence for the planet that they were on. They had reverence for everything, for life itself. And that is what has gone now from our culture and our society. And when we recognize that, it's been done on purpose, totally on purpose. And they're trying to get as many of us to buy into that system. And unfortunately, most of us did buy into the system, but now we're waking up to the fact that it is a system. And, you know, it's part of the Great Awakening. It's part of the Great Unveiling that was spoken about. The big unveiling right now. We are in the Kali Yuga. We've been in the Kali Yuga, which is a dark age, according to the Vedic system. And so we are heading into a more enlightened age. And as we know, we look at the Western systems, you know, we're heading into the age of Aquarius. And even with that, the dark side loves to play with terms and loves to get us terrified of even phrases that we should be happy about. And so, you know, we should be looking forward to going into a new age. But then there's now all this negative connotation with the words new age, even though Christ talked about, you know, the end of the age and the new age to come. So again, it's the conditioning. And we see it because, you know, the dark forces are there. We've seen it all along. They're there the whole time. And, you know, it doesn't matter what our dogma is. It doesn't matter what philosophy, if any, that we believe in. You know, the only philosophy that we really truly have to believe in is one of love, compassion, and unity. And then everything else will take care of itself. It really will. We don't have to worry about the dogma. You know, and whether that's, you know, a political dogma or a religious, philosophical dogma, doesn't matter. Dogma's dogma. Get past it. Recognize the energy. Recognize the energy we're putting out and recognize the energy that's coming in. It's all about discernment now. It's so much about discernment. And the blessing is it's getting easier to discern. And we can see it clearly for what it is. And that's why we're waking up. And so they know that their time is short. And that's a good thing. But that is also why they're hitting us so hard, you know, with the 5G, with the chemtrails, with a lot of what's going on. And if you guys know Mike Morales, you guys know Mike Morales. I hadn't watched a lot of his stuff, but I watched a couple of videos of his in the last week. And, you know, he was showing, just like BP Earthwatch had showed earlier, that there's these anomalous objects that look an awful lot like somebody's cloud seeding or, you know, going ahead and changing the weather. And then you get the tornadoes that just ramp up. We saw the same thing with Hurricane Michael. Hurricane Michael got so damn strong, it should never have gotten that strong. And so, are these things being manufactured? That's the thing. Are these things being manufactured? Are they being just amplified? Are they being steered and controlled? I think in our truther community, most of us think that they are. Most of us think that they are. And that's part of the awakening, because we could see it. It's like you can't pull the wool over our eyes anymore. You just can't do it, you know, and there's so many amazing people out there doing wonderful stuff. Mike Morales, now BP goes by just Earthwatch, because they took down BP Earthwatch. There's so many of them out there, as we were talking about Naughty Beaver, and gotta say, I love the Naughty guy. He's great, he's hilarious, and he's fearless, and he's telling it like it is. And you know what? You know, he's talking about Jesus and he's talking about the Pleiadians in the same video, and he doesn't care anymore. He just doesn't care. You know, he's like, you know, you guys can, you know, take it or leave it, but it's like the feeling is you got to get it out there. You just got to get it out there, because, you know, I think a lot of people are feeling like our time is in so many ways kind of short, as far as. And thank you, Lana, for the super chat. God bless and namaste. Our time is kind of getting short, and perhaps it's getting short for what we were just talking about with the timeline split, the rapture, the ascension that we're going through. We could feel that things are building up. They are really building up right now. And so we need to definitely keep our house in order, and definitely share with as many people as we can to wake them up, because it's going to go up exponentially. Again, we know our reality is a spiral. And, you know, we could view it as an ascending spiral or a descending spiral. It all is how we view it. But everything is cyclical. And so we come on through time and time again. And so while I was thinking about other people, I was watching Steve at WSO. Steve's a good friend. And I love to see where he's gone. He's you know, that man's growing in leaps and bounds. He's going through a definite spiritual awakening, and you know, it's a beautiful thing to see. And I love it. Yeah, I love to see the changes that keep going. So, you know, I appreciate Steve as well. And you know, we all go through these things in our own way, in our own timeline as well. And we got to keep plugging along, and we have to, you know, prepare every way. But I do believe that the biggest preparations are really spiritual. You know, that's the most important thing, because as we were talking about with the Bhagavad Gita, I do believe that we go through more than one lifetime. That's just my personal thought. And I don't think that, you know, we just blink into non-existence. So I think what we do in our life is so important. That is the biggest thing. It's what we do and how we react to situations. And I think that we're here to test ourselves in so many ways. And perhaps in some ways, if this truly is a prison planet, and the way out has been shown to us by numerous, you know, avatars, we could view them as, you know, like, you know, we've brought up Jesus, of course, and then Buddha, and then others as well. The way is definitely not through violence, because violence will only take us down. It's through love and compassion. And, you know, as Christ showed, you know, he was the same way, love, and just showing nothing but love and compassion, you know, all the way, and forgiveness, all the way up to being killed for it. And so we have to keep that in mind. And as Diana says, energy is equal spirituality. We must keep our vibrations at higher frequencies. And they're going to do their best to drag us down. They are going to do their best to drag us down. So, let's see, Ripkin34 says, your enemy slaps you in the face, offer him the other side while telling him you love him. Yes, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. And you know, that'll freak people out. You know, if a guy's you know, going to start a fight with you, and you just tell him, I love you, bro. That's, you know, he might still hit you, but, you know, you might be laughing after at the same time, and then hugging. And, you know, when I was younger, you know, I've had that exact same thing sort of happen back in high school. And we learn from it. We learn from it, and we grow from it, and we go forward. So there's a lot of powerful ways we could help ourselves as well. I know many of you caught the video on the gem shop. And now, more than ever, I could feel a difference in energy with different crystals, and really can just, they're night and day now, because we're growing energetically. Some crystals and some objects can definitely help us clear energies. And as we go deeper and deeper into these changes and upwards in vibration, they could definitely be tools that will help us. And so, you know, that's one way, as well as obviously yoga, QiGong, Tai Chi, meditation. There's numerous things. Anything that's mind, body, in which you engage with conscious breathing. And when we use motion, a lot of times that will keep our mind from wandering. And when you're doing still meditation, it can be very challenging. If you're trying to just clear the mind and let it go blank, it can be very challenging. So in traditional mantras, we will do 108 repetitions of a mantra. And it's always 108, which is interesting, or basically derivatives of 9. Again, 1 plus 8 equals 9. 9 is completion. And the other thought is, after chanting something 108 times and then stopping and just feeling the vibration, especially if you're vibrating it. Nowadays, you'll feel your chakras just tingling. You'll feel yourself going crazy. I did in my meditation today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 different mantras, each for 108 repetitions. And that was after about 40 minutes today of energy work, QiGong. And then after that, went into probably, I don't know, somewhere close to an hour of still meditation. And once the energy is flowing freely and the mantras do their work by just opening wide the chakras, then just focusing on my breath, and really what I was doing was just something called the mystic marriage. And as I inhale in, I'm feeling the energy coming in through the third eye chakra, going up to the crown chakra. I send it down to the throat chakra, and then it goes back to the third eye. And then as I exhale, I feel it just flow in a river, and that connects the upper 3 chakras. And then I started to get things happening where I would see different colors at first, and then different scenes would appear. And that is, one of the techniques that I use. And very powerful, very powerful. And I mean, I could have sat with it for probably a couple more hours, but then when I went to stand up, it's like your legs take a little while to get the blood flowing again. But still, it's awesome. It's just awesome. And the energy is incredible right now, incredible. So, definitely take advantage of it. And Evelyn says Tibetan bowls are also good for purging negative energy from space. And yes, there are so many tools right now. Sassy Susie has been using tuning forks. Tuning forks work great too. Everything is vibration, right? Sound is vibration. And so, again, anything you could use like that. Positive, upbeat music too. I love listening to a lot of Native American flute. I also listen to Tibetan bowls all the time. And it's just amazing. And yes, if only 7% of us combine together, pray and meditate at the same time, we can change many things. And so, why don't we take a moment right now to just, all of us, just, close our eyes and basically put your feet straight on the ground. As you inhale in, feel the energy coming in through the soles of the feet. Feel what we call the bubbling wells chakras on the soles of the feet, just behind the arch, right in the middle, start to tingle and vibrate. And then as you exhale, just let go of any tension, any dis-ease, any disharmony. Just let it go. Inhale. Feel the energy coming in through the balls of the feet. You can visualize it as a crystalline green color. It's coming straight from the earth. It's bringing in grounding and healing earth energy up into your body. Exhale. Exhale away any sort of tension, any sort of dis-ease. You could visualize that as like any sort of gray color coming off the body, puffs of smoke. It's all going away. It's dissipating. Now on the next inhale, draw the energy up through the bubbling wells, through the foot chakras, up the legs, into the lower dantian, which is about 2 inches below the navel, right at the center point of the body. And this is where we store the physical energy. So if you just focused in on this meditation and just did the simple meditation 5 or 10 minutes a day, that would build up a tremendous amount of energy in your body. And that could definitely start building up the energy in your body, where your physical body is going to start to get healed of a lot of little ailments, aches and pains, things like that. Any sort of chronic issues that you have. Just drawing the energy up, the earth energy in particular, up through the bubbling wells and bring it into the lower dantian. And just store it there. See it there as a glowing, energetic ball of light that's crystalline green. Trying to find bubbling wells. Let's do it in QiGong. Okay, so Yongquan. These are the bubbling wells right there. So you just focus on that point, and you'll feel the chakras spinning. And now mine feel like they're almost the entire foot now. They're just so energetic. And then you're bringing it into the lower dantian area, which is like right in here. And you're going to store it there. So you can see here, Yongquan, Laogung, and Laogung are they're the chakras on the palms. This is your crown chakra as well, up on top. Bubbling wells, bubbling spring. So you want to store energy in the lower dantian, and that it'll ground you, it'll root you, and it'll also start to build up a lot of healing energy inside you as well. And so why don't we focus on sending some healing energy to the earth itself. And just see it as the energy of love and light and compassion. Because the earth itself is literally a being. There's nothing but consciousness in this reality. There's nothing but consciousness. Everything is consciousness. So when we look at the sun, it's consciousness. It's not just a ball of gases. It's not just hydrogen and helium. It's consciousness. When we look at a planet, it's consciousness as well. Everything is consciousness. So recognize that. Diana was doing QiGong with me today. Awesome. Yes, I was. I was doing it for most of the afternoon, honestly, a good chunk of it. Yes, and you know, that's such a healthy practice. So let's just send love, light, and healing to the planet itself. And one amazing thing that's happened to me a few times when I was doing QiGong out in the woods was I could feel the actual heartbeat of the earth itself, and it was mind-blowing when I first felt it. It just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. And it then happened again, and it was awesome to feel so connected to it. And so, you know, now is a great time to take up these practices. It is. It will go so far to bringing you peace and health and well-being. And thank you guys so much for taking part in our show. And we'll go live more often again, as long as we're able to, with free speech. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. Next time we do it and we go live again, I'll take calls. That's what I was doing most of the time. And yes, Sassy Susie, we could send healing to the rain too, you know, the earth and the rain and everything. It's amazing. We need to do this on a regular basis because we have tremendous power amongst us, tremendous. And we can manifest tremendous changes. And I do believe, you know, we could mitigate some of what's coming. And, you know, I do think that what hits me as probably what's going to happen is I feel like there is going to be a dimensional split. And so it's so important for us to hold our frequency, hold our love, hold our vibration, and not give in, you know, to not give in to hate, to fear. You know, we understand that there's things we should do to safeguard ourselves. That's just, you know, self-preservation. But at the same time, let's not give in to any of the negative vibrations. And we'll keep sending out the positive healing energy because the planet needs it, we all need it, and we need each other. So my friends, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you everyone with the super chats. Thank you guys for your support so much. As always, my friends, peace, God bless, and namaste.